an amazing demo day. I just can't wait to play with all these new toys, especially, I mean, like, I'm not going to pick favorites now. It's impossible. Choosing favorites from all the children. Wow. I mean, one thing I know for sure is when we all get together, we build, right? Like, all of these things didn't exist. It's a completely new world of realms tomorrow. Like, I feel like we're starting from a whole new place. One of the things I wanted to discuss before we kind of wrap it up and is to think about the AthensDAO concept. How can we make this enduring? How can we do this again? What would the AthensDAO do? So the first thing is I'm going to be collecting wallets. We have the sign-ins. So as long as somebody got a bracelet, you'll be able to share your wallet if you already haven't with me. So we'll figure that out in the next 2 days or something. We've already made an NFT. So what's going to happen is everybody will receive that NFT, and then we're going to use that NFT as the way to create the DAO. So I wrote down a few ideas for what the DAO could possibly do. Just want to share them. Maybe we can have some other ideas to add to the list and then figure it out over the next few weeks. For sure, we're going to be a participant in the new Red Realms Ecosystem DAO. And what that means is everybody that was here by virtue of being here, you'll be one of the voices of our community saying which bounties we want to see happen. And I think that's a pretty big deal on its own. As I said, I think we need to figure out a way for our DAO to allow the creation of more Athens, make this either an annual event or maybe an online thing. I don't know, but I think that should be one of our goals. I'm trying to remember which talk it was, but it was you that made the comment about the political scientists, that we need to, expand the view of people we're reaching out and including in what we're doing here. So I think that's another thing we could look at. I know I've discussed this a lot with you, Alex, about, working with academia and seeing how we can expand there, because there is no point in reinventing the wheel if a lot of this has already been figured out. On the diversity panel, I really understood how language, for me, the language barrier is one of the biggest issues. I'm not so, I think organically, some of the gender stuff is a little harder for us to solve. STEM is really the issue there. It's not Solana DAOs that are going to be able to solve that. But on the diversity side, I think it's important for us to figure out how we can work with other cultures and other languages to get support to translate things. I mean, Realms right now is only in English, and what little documentation we've been able to put together is only in English. So we really need to figure that out too. I think that's something that AthensDAO can contribute. Content, maybe there can be a weekly newsletter that we put together of all the different new improvements, what different DAOs are doing. I tried to, I called it a weekly newsletter, and I did it, 4 weeks ago the first time. So it's really hard to maintain something like a weekly newsletter. That could be another responsibility or something AthensDAO handles. And then finally, DAO and NFT collection verification. That's another area that isn't talked a lot about, where we need to be able to protect the ecosystem by saying, this is the real DAO, this is the real NFT, this is the real instruction. So that's another idea for AthensDAO. Does anybody else have some ideas on what we could do with this DAO, that's built of the people that are here?
In addition to diversity, you say, language, but also inclusion. Sebastian and myself started something called the Church of Soul. Maybe we can expand it more from the borders of London, and you help us. Basically, the idea is to have workshops on weekends and tell people about Solana in general.
Absolutely, that's a great idea. And are those virtual, or are those in London, like come into the space?
So far, they haven't existed. But there's gonna be for real, yes, in person.
Okay. I think that's another great mission for us. Patrick, behind you. The Orthodox, yeah.
On the diversity front, I think it could be really interesting to get people that aren't necessarily aware of Web3, that come from other fields, to contribute what they know from other fields. For example, our community manager is a doctor, a physicist, and she just became our community manager because she was super interested in Web3. And I think that there's lots of people out there that come from different backgrounds that don't know about this space, that could contribute in ways that are familiar to them or not. And I think it might be interesting to bring like scientists in, or public service workers, or people that don't have proximity to technology necessarily, and build for them, kind of in the UX design spirit, you know?
Yeah, and it reminds me that, you know, in the beginning, we had figured out that there was just so many awesome things to talk about, and we were trying to force it into 4 days. And that's where it was like, why are we waiting to do this annually? So maybe it also connects to this, where, you know, there's some sort of ecosystem where maybe it's bi-weekly, maybe it's monthly, where we're, you know, trying to include people who are outside of the space. We focus on updating people on the new things that are happening. Maybe we can do a recap on the bounties that we're focused on. Yeah, these are all great ideas. And yeah, I can't wait till everybody sees their NFT and is part of AthensDAO. We knew that we had organized something that was special, but it's really you guys that have made it.
Yeah, I also think that what you, Jose, and Sam were talking about, the legal aspect, and this is what Sam was talking, that if we don't do that, they will do that for us, right? So I think that also can be objective of AthensDAO, to try to shape the legal structure on DAOs, which I think is really important, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and it's for free.
So this could be either part of a content series, or, you know, maybe it becomes something that we try to, you know, touch base on like once a month, or, and then I think the way we make it an enduring activity is either, you know, contributions from other DAOs, or we'll put together a foundation grant or something like that, you know, that way it's.
Yeah, what I was going to say is it'd be cool, you know, quarterly might be too much for some people in person. I would love to do quarterly in person, but it'd be cool if at each AthensDAO quarterly, or whatever the time frame cadence is to say, hey, here are the things we're looking to accomplish by the next AthensDAO. You know, set those things up, actually tangible goals, cost them out, that we as an ecosystem can do together, and then come meet up, check in on those goals, define the goals for the next AthensDAO, and just have this sort of cadence of ecosystem development together, whether it's around things like language or legal or whatever is important to us as a collective.
Yeah, and I just realized that if we do like continue it in this fashion, we create a new NFT as part of the collection, and then if you came to both of them, you have, you know, 2 times the voting power. Yeah, there's interesting ways to make this enduring and then continue. Yeah. Curve to the moon. Originally, I wanted to call this all-time high DAO, but unfortunately, that didn't work out.
Building on top of the idea of, well, the legal stuff and that, why don't we also create a directory? You said yesterday about the color of money. Why don't we say, well, this is our interest, this is what we are good at, because maybe doesn't need to be yearly, weekly, monthly. If we're working on something, we will read the directory and say, well, these guys know what we need. And these other guys maybe don't know, but they are interested. And we create a little group. Hey, we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about that. Are you interested of assembling the first committee or the first group that is going to tackle that problem? Either because you're good at, or either because you're interested and you will at least spend time and invest your time and your efforts to understand this.
Yeah, what I would like is maybe to put that onto the SPL governance Discord, where, you know, we can have it again as a responsibility of the AthensDAO, but ultimately have it live in SPL governance. That way, as people are coming in, the first place they can also have a directory of, you're interested in learning more about delegation, speak to Noah. You're learning, you want to join Grape, speak to Jared. So I think that could be an interesting way. That way, next time we have a question of which is the one link you give, we say, hey, you give the Discord link, and then it becomes, the... Yeah, I like this as a responsibility set because it also frees you up from having to answer every single person on Discord. So, if
that's the number one thing we as a community can do, unlock the most value, is free up Sebastian's time.
Okay. I guess we're concluding AthensDAO. As I said before, we knew we had built something special, but really it was you that made it happen. Every single person I've talked to was commenting on, it was the people here, right? The conversations that we were having, the feeling, the flow. It's, certain structures help, but it's ultimately the people within the system that make the magic. So thank you guys, and looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, thank you. And huge thank you to Dean as well. This was your idea. This wouldn't have been possible without you. So thank you so much to you and the team.
And also, big thank you to Vasilis. Big thank you to Dimitris, wherever Dimitris is, to Chris, and to Esmeralda, of course. And thank you, Innovathens.